Are you looking for privacy, exclusivity, and a little bit of space? Well, today I'm going to cover the top 5 gated neighborhoods in Aledo, Texas, where you can have the land and not give up a sense of community. And stick around because each of these neighborhoods, I'm going to have some interesting tidbits or a story or some information that is just kind of fun. So let's check it out. My name's Jared with Living in Aledo, Texas, and today we're going to be covering some of the top gated neighborhoods in the Aledo area. Now, we're not covering all of them. There's a whole bunch. That's actually one of the really nice benefits of Aledo is if you want a gated community, you can get a gated community at a lot of different price points, a lot of different options, a lot of different lot sizes. Most of what we're talking about today, they're all going to be on 1 or 2 plus acre lots. So there are some smaller gated neighborhoods that aren't like that, but that's what we're talking about today. I have seen kind of an uptick in people wanting gated communities, and it's not necessarily locals trying to get out of a non-gated community into a gated community, but a lot of times it's people coming from other areas that are asking me about gated communities. So I don't know exactly why that is. Maybe it's just a little bit more uncertainty in the world. People are looking for a little bit more privacy, a little bit more security. Maybe they want just less traffic across running through their street. They've got kids and they just want to avoid as much traffic as possible. And being in a gated neighborhood is a great way to do that because it should only be your neighbors driving through the neighborhood. So we're going to cover everything from the utilities available in the neighborhood to the HOA dues to some like the average size homes, the average price point and what to expect there. I'll cover some of my actual experience in each neighborhood working with clients so you can kind of maybe get a feel for what that neighborhood looks like. And the neighborhoods they're going to range from stuff that's like basically only brand new construction, stuff that still has some new construction available, and then some mature and fully built out neighborhoods that there's no lots available. And if you are looking to buy, you're looking at a pre-owned home. There's pros and cons to all of it. So if this information is useful to you, if you have been coming to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Feel free to reach out whenever you have any questions, but also put them in the comment section below. Let me know if there's anything I didn't cover or if you've come across a neighborhood that I'm not touching on and you want information on. Happy to do another video on that in the future. Now with that, let's hop into the first neighborhood. Okay, first up on the list is a pretty quiet and under the radar neighborhood that you might not have heard of, but it's gonna come with one of the most premium price tags in the Aledo area, and that is Rancho Ladera. So this neighborhood, it has 2 separate gated entrances. It does not have manned security, and it's way down south off Bear Creek Road, but it really offers some seclusion and some privacy and really a small community feel. There's only gonna be about 40-ish total home sites currently, and only about 13 homes are there right now. So there's multiple lots still available, lots of lots. Most of that is owned by the developer who also builds homes. So if you were wanting to build your own or use your own builder, you'd have to buy the lot from them, where the builder has built some of the homes themselves. So that'd be something to think about or look into. But all these homes are gonna be on well and septic. They're all 2+ acres. It does have one of the most affordable HOA fees, which is only like $500 to $700 a year, which would go to maintaining the gate. I don't even know if they have like lights, so you don't have to pay electricity bills. But you're not buying a neighborhood down here for the amenities because you're gonna build your own. You are not worried about if there's a community pool or anything, because if you are looking to spend $2+ million on a home, you're gonna buy your own pool so you can do whatever you want in your own pool. Now, I already mentioned about 40-ish total home sites at max build out. There's really only about 13 homes built right now. There could be plus or minus. Tax records take a little while to update sometimes. Currently, those 13 homes range from 3,600 to about 6,000 square feet, with the average being like 4,900. So you're looking at a good size home, and half of those homes already have pools, like 7 of them. So that's just showing you what people are doing and expecting, and you'll see that kind of like carry out throughout this video I like to talk about. I want to note which neighborhoods have like what concentration of pools, because many people moving to the area, especially the Texas summers, they want a pool. So in the last year, the average sold price of a home in Rancho Ladera is $1,975,000. And that was for a 4,800 square foot home. And there's currently one home pending for $2.4 million, and that's a 5,300 square foot home. So this is gonna be one of the most premium price tag neighborhoods in Aledo right now. Now, this will be dwarfed, I think, and overshadowed by Maverick when it comes into play. But Rancho Ladera currently is really going to be one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Aledo. However, not many pre-owned homes or builder homes or new construction homes are going to be available. Most of these people are having to are going to be buying a lot and building. I do think I spoke to one of the last homes that was listed. I don't think it's the one that's pending. I think it might have been the last one. And it was the builder selling his own home. So he had built his own home, lived in it, and he was looking to sell it to go kind of do the same thing, which kind of explained why there was a pre-owned home so new in this neighborhood. So we have a couple of other interesting neighborhoods and then one with a really fun claim to fame. Okay, next up on the list is a neighborhood that has a really interesting claim to fame in recent pop culture. So not only is La Madera one of the most desirable neighborhoods and has been one of the most desirable exclusive neighborhoods in Aledo for a long time, but it has been featured multiple times, one of the homes specifically in La Madera, in a couple of episodes of Landman. So if you have seen it or if you haven't, I won't give any spoilers away, but Billy Bob Thornton in the show has an ex-wife and she's remarried. This is not a spoiler. This is how the show starts. And she's married to this uber wealthy dude. And the scenes where, she's at that house or in that environment are filmed on a property in a home in La Madera. Now, this is not the standard home in La Madera. This is like a big estate that kind of La Madera is built around. Like this property has like 20 or 30 acres or something. But there are you drive through a gate to get into La Madera, and then this home that is featured in Landman has its own private gate because there's it's a bunch of acreage built back into La Madera. And then there's a scene or two where you see her driving out in her whatever her super fancy car is down that long straightaway, and that's the entrance to La Madera. So La Madera, what is it? What's interesting? What should we know about this, right? So again, it's one of the most exclusive, high-end neighborhoods in the Aledo area. And it's actually maybe a little less exclusive, but not because of anything. It's just because they have more phases going in. So they do have pre-owned homes. And for a while, you could only buy an existing home, or maybe there's only a lot or two from builders. Now they've opened up their last phase. So there are lots currently available that you could buy and build on your own. There's also builders, some high-end builders building some nice homes, like John Askew and MK Homes and a couple 4T Homes. There's some good home builders building some high-end stuff over there. So you can buy new construction from one of them on one of their kind of their high-end specs. You can work with them to build a home for you on your own lot. This neighborhood actually will let you do your own home with any builder you want as long as you follow their building guidelines. So La Madera, some other videos, there's a map video I have on Aledo that kind of goes over some of the big major thoroughfares. But on one hand, you have 1187 or the Aledo exit, and that loops down and around, and it turns into FM5, and FM5 loops back up. So I kind of call it this U of this 1187 to FM5. This is at the bottom edge of that U. That's where the entrance to La Madera is. So that's going to be the primary way you get to the neighborhood. However, this is also the one neighborhood that bridges the gap and allows a direct connection between FM5 and Bear Creek. So you have La Madera, you have the FM5 loop, and then you have Bear Creek over here. So if you have a neighborhood clicker, you can get to Bear Creek from the back side of the neighborhood, but nobody else can. So kind of interesting. Doesn't really help you because most of the time you're probably going to 20 if you live in La Madera. But that's a good one. This is currently a little over 200 home sites. Again, phase 7 is going on right now. They've just started building it out. You can still buy lots. I do have price sheets from the developer, but these lots are all a minimum of 2 acres up to almost 7. The cheapest lot, there's one at $198,000. Otherwise, you're looking at about $240 minimum. Most of these lots, these 2-acre lots, are going to sit around $300 to $330. However, there is a 6.5-acre home site that is available for $583,000. So if you want your own estate and you want to get that and you want to compete with this guy that showed his property in Landman, come at it. This would be a pretty cool setup. So there's still plenty of lots available. If you are thinking about buying a lot and building and you want to be in a neighborhood, this is one that you shouldn't wait on. These home sites are selling. So reach out, DM me, shoot a message. I'm happy to connect you with all the information you need. So what's available in this neighborhood? What are the utilities like? The HOA. This is also one of the higher HOAs. So you're looking at about $2,500 a year HOA. You are on all well and septic. An interesting note for this neighborhood. We were looking at the neighborhood recently with a client. We almost contracted on something and we were asking about the well. And it's a longer process, but there's two separate aquifers that you can drill a well to in the Aledo area. And one, the closer to the surface aquifer is the Paluxy. So many people just assume, well, the lower aquifer's always going to be better, and that's the Trinity. And so we were asking the builder, well, hey, what aquifer did you drill to? And he's like, well, we just drilled to the Paluxy in this neighborhood. So, well, you're building $1.6 million homes minimum. Why are you not spending the extra 20, 30 grand to go to the Trinity? And he was actually saying that in this area, the Paluxy has better water quality than the Trinity does in that area. So it's also, the Trinity is also a lot deeper. So maybe that is a little heavier weight than he gave. But that was an interesting note that deeper is not always better. There can be different compositions of water quality and a reason to use the Paluxy, and that they don't have any well water issues or anything like that. Now, what are the size ranges? So on the low end, you're looking at about 3,500 square feet for this neighborhood. And there's a home that tax records say 10,000 square feet even. So that might not be exact, but you're looking at probably there are some really large homes. I've been in a couple of really big homes over there. So there's a good range of sizes. If you're looking at building your own home and you want to do something nice, this is going to be a great neighborhood because it will be hard to overbuild in this neighborhood. There are some people with a lot of money doing some interesting things over here. So it will be hard to outbuild the neighborhood if you're looking at building your own custom home. This one's a little bit interesting. It looks like there's really only about 55-ish homes with pools currently. So it seems like that concentration is a little bit lower, but with newer homes being built, the tax records may not be catching up. I would assume more than 25% of these homes have pools over here. Most of the ones I've seen typically have a pool. Now, what's the value in the last year? The averages in the last year. Average sold home in the last year is about $1,450,000 for an average size of about 4,500 square feet. There's one pending home at 1.6 million. That's a little over 5,200 square feet. And then there's 3 active homes that are available at an average price of 1.6 million and an average size of 4,900 square feet. So there's a couple of brand new construction homes available. One of them is awesome. That was the one that my clients almost contracted on. My client wanted a shop and a pool, and we just couldn't quite come to terms with the builder on how much that would cost to add those. I'll be frank, it is always cheaper to buy a home that already has a pool and a shop than it is to build your own pool and shop, because you just don't get 100% of the value of those improvements when you go to resell a home. Really great neighborhood. If someone calls me and they're saying they want to build, they want to buy a lot, this is going to be one of the first neighborhoods I typically recommend. Bear Creek is another one. Bear Creek is not something we're talking about in this video, but depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking to buy your own and then build your own home and you want to do some unique stuff, Madera should be a top contender for you. Okay, so number 3 on the list is the neighborhood that might get the most questions from people who are thinking about moving to Aledo area, because not only is it gated, but it's the only neighborhood in Aledo that has a 24/7 manned security at the gate. So that's going to be Bella Flora. And if you're looking at the Bella Flora neighborhoods, because there's more than one, only one of them has that 24/7 manned security. I do have a video that talks about all 3 of them on the channel. If you are new to the channel and you are thinking about moving to Aledo area and you want as much information as possible, click that subscribe button, tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on, other neighborhoods that I'll be talking about and explaining. But back to Bella Flora. So this is the one neighborhood that not only is it gated, but it's guarded as well. It is off 1187 near 377. So it's kind of the southern tip of Aledo ISD. Most of the time you're going to be going to that neighborhood, going down 377 through Benbrook up into Fort Worth. But you can go up 1187 into like Aledo and up to 20 that way. It's just not going to be the most effective way typically if you're going into Fort Worth. But if you're going to like Aledo or the schools, you can go up 1187. So there is about 200 homes in this neighborhood. As far as I can tell, the best I can tell, the last couple of lots were just sold. They were held onto for a long time, but the last 2 or 3 lots were sold in the last year by people planning to build their own homes. So I don't expect there to be any new construction homes available like to buy from a builder. I don't think there's any lots you could buy to build your own home at this point either. Now the HOA dues are a little higher than a lot of the other neighborhoods. It's a little over $2,600. But if you think about it, I mean, you're not only are you paying for the gate and the private roads, you also have manned security. So that's gonna not be a cheap thing. So the HOA here is like a little over twice as much as most of the other gated neighborhoods in Aledo. And now all these homes are also going to be on a well and septic. Again, 1 to 2 acre lots, lots of nice homes. Now, what should you expect if you're looking at homes over here? Per all the tax records, the average size home is a little over 4,500 square feet. And the range is from like 3,000, just a little over 3,000 square feet up to, I think there's a couple in the 7,000s, so up to about 7,900 square feet. And then again, something that I like to touch on is the number. Well, I really like to touch on it in these pre-owned neighborhoods because this is where people have started adding their pools, and you see how valuable people find their pools here in Texas, right? Or maybe the concentration of pools in a neighborhood. But a little over 100, like 119-ish homes of the 200-ish homes have pools. So you're looking at like 50% of the homes are going to have pools. Those homes do typically sell a little bit quicker and for a higher premium. Now, and in the last year, and I actually just closed on a client's home in Bella, Flora. We closed yesterday, but the average sold price in the last year is about $1.3 million for a 4,400 square foot home. So that's about what you should expect. There's 2 homes that are currently pending. That's for like an average of 1.5 million, but the average size is like 5,000 square feet. And then you have 5 active homes. This neighborhood, I do feel like gets a little bit of an outsized turnover rate. So even though like maybe this is a slightly more desirable neighborhood than maybe like Bella Ranch next to it, and it's a slightly higher price point, the turnover is kind of high. And the reason I believe that is so is because there's a lot of like executives that end up moving in there. So business executives, people from Lockheed, people who take like relocations for jobs frequently. I think this is a prime neighborhood for them to pick, which means rather than living in that neighborhood for 7 to 10 years, they might be living there for 3 to 5 years. So homes seem to turn and burn and turn here in this neighborhood. And I don't think it has anything to do with the neighborhood. I think it has to do with who's typically buying. They don't stay as long as a lot of people that are buying in the other neighborhoods. So Bella Flora, it's great. Again, well and septic, HOAs higher than the rest of the neighborhoods. In this neighborhood specifically, you have had more canceled and expired listings than is average. Again, I think, and really when I looked at this, some of the homes that sold are also counted as a previously expired because they priced too high, it expired or they canceled, then they relisted later and got sold. So this is a neighborhood, again, a little bit higher than average turnover. Because of that, you do have to be more aware of the competition, not just sold comparables. Because if you're priced higher than your competition, even if you're in line with sold data, the competition that is priced at a better value is going to sell before yours. So this is a great one. We have 2 more pre-owned neighborhoods with no new construction coming up. So let's stick around. Okay, so next up on the list is number 4. And while there may not be any new construction homes in this neighborhood is one of the most well-known and most desirable neighborhoods in Aledo ISD. And it is right next door to where I live. So this is Stone Creek Farms. Literally the entrance to this neighborhood is right across from the entrance from my neighborhood. So it's about 1 mile south of 20 off FM5, just south of Bankhead off FM5. And why do people love this neighborhood so much? Because these homes are 20, 25-ish years old, plus or minus, but you've got big 1 to 2 acre lots. It's heavily treed, and these are mature trees. These are trees that were here when the neighborhood was developed. It has some ponds, it's built into some hilly terrain, and really there's just a really like nice sense of privacy and kind of exclusiveness, all for not like crazy prices. Now, it's not cheap over here. You do have an HOA, and it is on, these homes, while they do have septic systems, most of these neighborhoods have well and septic. This neighborhood actually has city water. So kind of a funny story is I recently helped a past client sell the home that I helped them buy in the neighborhood. So they bought it a couple years back. He's being relocated for a job. We sold the home, listed it late 2024. You're gonna hear another late 2024 story in a moment. But we listed this home right at $1 million. We felt pretty comfortable, thought it might be a tad bit of a stretch, but we knew the desirability of the neighborhood and the condition of my client's home were kind of at the top tier. So right at $1 million, we ended up with 3 offers within the first week and ended up selling very close to $1 million, just a little bit under. Now, the funny thing about this story is that everything went really smooth. Buyers moved in, sellers moved out. And like 2 weeks after the buyers moved in, I got a call from the agent saying that, hey, the clients are having a problem with the well. Had my clients ever had a problem with the well? Because they had no water at all, like nothing. They'd had a well guy come out. The well guy said the well was working fine. They had a plumber. The plumber said, hey, well, like all the well equipment in the house and the garage looks fine. And what had happened was the buyer had forgotten some of, in the seller's disclosure, it talks about some of this stuff, but they had forgotten that there was city water. So they had moved in and thought that the home was being supplied by the well and had not set up their city water account. And that's a city of Hudson Oaks. And so their water just got shut off and they thought it was a major well issue. So thankfully it was not an issue. It was just a funny story. They got it all fixed and corrected and there was no big expense. So that was good. Now let's get to some of the details. So I said, this isn't a huge neighborhood, actually a little smaller than mine. There's about 115-ish homes in the neighborhood. And like a lot of these neighborhoods, there's a lot of pools. So about 100 of these 115 homes have pools, and that's all from tax records. So what size is this neighborhood? Like, what should you expect if you're watching this neighborhood? Well, the average size home is about 4,100 square feet, going down to about 2,700 square feet on the small side. And then there's a couple on the high side. So the largest home in there is about 7,100 square feet. So you can get some pretty big homes in there. And then in the last year, you've had the average sold price has been a little over 1.3 million. And the average sold size has been 4,990 square feet. So almost 5,000 square feet. So that's pretty good. I like that. And then right now, there's currently 2 homes available for sale, average around 900. So those are going to be homes a little bit on the smaller side, or maybe they need some updating. Then interestingly enough, this neighborhood, as desirable as it is, in the last year has had a handful of homes either cancel their listing or expire. So canceled listings that could be a seller just changing their mind. Maybe they're not getting what they want. So maybe they do want a little bit of a high price point and they're not quite getting it, so they don't want it. And then expired homes are typically homes that sat for a while and like the listing agreement ended without selling it. So 5 homes either canceled or expired, which is interesting because that's a super desirable neighborhood. But sometimes people who've been in there know that and they're trying to get an extra premium on top of what the neighborhood normally justifies. So that's a neighborhood to keep an eye on, especially if you like mature trees and you like the style of the homes built in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. I like that. That's what my home was built. I think the bones are awesome. And the character is a little bit more than some of these brand new construction homes that start to feel very similar. So that's a great one. Again, super desirable. It's a neighborhood that I would love to live in myself. Stone Creek Farms is great. Okay, now if you're someone who values a little bit of extra privacy, last on the list is going to be a particular interest to you. So number 5 is going to be Saddle Creek. And Saddle Creek is a truly hidden gem in the Aledo area. I honestly didn't even know about this neighborhood for a couple of years after moving here. So this neighborhood is a small gated neighborhood just southeast of Aledo proper off 1187. And there's really only about 40 total home sites. So they're all going to be around an acre to an acre and a half. And then there are also going to be all well and septic. So one interesting note about this neighborhood is that of the 40-ish homes in the neighborhood, 30 of them have pools. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Again, it just reinforces the value and the need for really the value and the desire for people to have pools. And then you also see in like the resale process, just like the other neighborhoods, that the homes with pools sell at a higher premium and faster. So a interesting story about this neighborhood, and just to show you the desirability of this, was in late 2024, like just a minute ago. I had a clients flying in from out of area. They were being relocated for work. And we saw a home that came online in this neighborhood first weekend. It might have been first day. At the very least, this latest, the second day. But it was listed at $995. They ended up with multiple offers. This was, again, like November or December of 24. The seller ended up with multiple offers. It did have a pool. It had, like 4 or 5 car garage, all this stuff. So it had like everything, outdoor kitchen, all this stuff. It was great. Knew there was multiple offers. We were told that. We came back, reassessed. We ended up, the seller made a really good offer. They offered somewhere around like $1,050,000 $1,050,000, $1,060,000. I don't remember exactly what it was. You know, putting like 300-400 grand down, conventional loan, close in 30 days, all this stuff. I mean, a great offer. Didn't get it. You know, they were kind of wondering, kind of speculating, well, what did it go for? How, you know, what was different? What was a better offer than that? And really in Texas, you don't know until it closes, because there's other agents typically are not going to share that because it's private information. But so I was able to look at that information, and that home sold at $1.1 million cash, closed in under 30 days. So it's really hard to compete with something like that. Sometimes you just can't. So some of the information about this neighborhood, again, about a little over 40 homes. The average size home in the neighborhood is just over 4,100 square feet, ranging from about 3,200 to about 5,700 square feet per the tax records. Now, in the last year, the average sold price was $1,145,000. And the average size home was at the 4,100 square feet, 4,150 square feet to be exact. So there is one home currently available in the neighborhood. It is $965,000. It is 3,800 square feet. Has been on the market for like 60 days. So not sure exactly why. You know, sometimes maybe it needs some repairs, or it has some deferred maintenance or something that is keeping people from jumping on them, or maybe it's just overpriced for the condition. But if you look at this neighborhood, unlike some of the others, there have been 0 canceled listings and 0 expired listings in this neighborhood in the last year. So that's an interesting tidbit. And I think it goes to show, when properly priced, this neighborhood is moving quickly and people really like this neighborhood. Okay, now as you have seen, there is no shortage of great options for gated neighborhoods in the Aledo area. And I didn't even cover half of them. There's a bunch of little ones here and there that, you know, maybe I'll get to at some point, but I really want to cover the top 5 in my opinion. And if you found this information useful, and especially if it's your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. I got lots of other useful content, lots of other neighborhood guides and tours. And if you are, especially if you're in the late stage planning of your move to Aledo, maybe you're starting a job in the near future. Maybe you are, you know, it's near the end of the school year right now, or getting there. Maybe you're planning on moving in the summer. All my contact information is in the description box below. Feel free to reach out however is most convenient. I'd love to help you make a smooth move to Aledo area. And I've found that it's always a little bit better experience when you reach out sooner rather than later. I like to, if I have someone coming in town, I like to book off time on my calendar. That way we can go see a bunch of homes. But then even before that, just having a phone call where we can cover what's important. Sometimes I can give some extra guidance or direction and help you pare down what you're looking at. So until next time, I'll see you around.